The camera fades in on silence. Not the kind that comforts, but the kind that warns you something powerful is about to unfold. In that silence sits a man, not angry, not afraid, just steady. His name is Solomon Drayton, a Marine whose calmness hides storms most people wouldn't survive. But today isn't about war. It's about respect and how quickly the world forgets who earned it. When a routine moment turns into a quiet battle for dignity, 6 shadows move from the crowd, men bound by loyalty, not orders. What happens next isn't loud, it isn't violent, but it changes everything. Because this isn't just a story about confrontation, it's about the invisible kind of power that doesn't need to prove itself. The kind that sits in silence until silence becomes impossible to ignore.
The gym smells like sweat and pride. Banners hang from the rafters, the buzz of families fills the air. In the third row, Solomon sits alone, shoulders square, eyes steady on the stage. On his wrist, a dull silver bracelet engraved with his wife's initials. She's gone, but her promise isn't. His son, Tyron, stands among the graduates, nervous, proud, unaware that today will become the story he tells for the rest of his life. The people around whisper politely, noticing Solomon's posture, his discipline. He doesn't blend in. He never has. His life is a rhythm of order and patience, 2 things the world often mistakes for weakness. The moment feels peaceful, almost ordinary, until 2 guards step in from the side, scanning the room like they're looking for trouble. Solomon doesn't move, but his stillness says enough. This day isn't going to stay ordinary for long.
It starts small, a question disguised as authority. "Sir, we need to speak with you." Solomon looks up, not with challenge, but with the quiet stare of someone who's heard every tone of command imaginable. "Is there a problem?" he asks, his voice low, controlled. The guards hesitate, caught between duty and discomfort. Around them, conversations fade. People start to watch. The tension isn't about what's being said, it's about what isn't. Solomon doesn't rise, doesn't argue. His composure makes their posture look forced. One guard shifts his weight, uncertain. "You're not supposed to be sitting here," he says, trying to sound confident. Solomon tilts his head slightly. "Then perhaps you're in the wrong row," he replies. It's not defiance, it's clarity, the kind that rattles men who rely on power they didn't earn. The silence stretches until it feels like time is waiting for something or someone to intervene.
From across the gym, 6 men stand. No words, no signal, just instinct. Their movements are slow, deliberate, the kind of precision that can't be faked. They walk toward Solomon's row with quiet authority, their presence heavier than any badge in the room. The crowd doesn't know who they are yet, but they can feel it, that invisible shift in energy when discipline enters a space. Each step feels like a sentence being written in invisible ink. The guards sense it too. One steps back without meaning to, the other clears his throat but says nothing. These men don't need to explain themselves. They already have. They stop, just behind Solomon, not saying a word. Their silence is a statement, louder than any argument could be. The air thickens. Every person in the room suddenly understands whatever's about to happen next, it's no longer a conversation. It's a reckoning.
The sound of applause fades, replaced by the echo of gunfire and sandstorm winds. Kandahar, years earlier. The sun burned the earth red as dust choked the air. Solomon's voice cut through the chaos, calm under pressure. "Move, left flank." 6 men followed him without hesitation, not because they had to, but because they trusted him. Bullets tore the silence, explosions shook the ground, yet Solomon's presence held the line. When one of his men went down, Solomon didn't flinch. He ran into open fire, dragging him back with his bare hands. Blood, grit, and loyalty. That's where their bond was forged, and the kind of moments that rewrite who you are. Back then, Solomon had saved their lives. Today, they stand to return the favor, not with violence, but with presence. Because sometimes the loudest protection is quiet, and sometimes brotherhood doesn't fade when the uniforms do.
The flashback dissolves. We're back in the gym. The crowd is dead silent. Solomon still hasn't stood. He doesn't need to. The guards look unsure now, their confidence shrinking under the weight of eyes that see too much. One tries again, "Sir, please." But the sentence dies halfway through. Behind Solomon, 6 statues of discipline remain still, their silence deafening. No one shouts, no one threatens. The guard's authority evaporates as quickly as it appeared. The principal finally notices the scene, hurrying over with apologies that sound rehearsed. The guards are dismissed quietly, heads lowered. No confrontation, no chaos, just balance restored. Solomon nods once, a subtle gesture that says, "It's over." But everyone watching knows they just witnessed something few ever see. What real strength looks like when it refuses to be provoked. The kind that commands respect without ever asking for it.
When the ceremony resumes, the applause feels different, deeper, heavier, more meaningful. Tyron's name is called, and for a moment, every heartbeat in that gym seems to align. He walks across the stage, searching for his father in the crowd. Solomon's still there, the seals still behind him, unmoving. Tyron smiles, not because of pride in his diploma, but because he's just seen a lesson that no classroom could teach. The people who witness the confrontation whisper quietly, but no one dares to speak loudly. Respect has filled the air like oxygen, invisible but undeniable. As Tyron accepts his diploma, the applause grows louder, like the crowd finally understands what kind of man raised this graduate. It's not just a father watching his son succeed, it's a legacy being passed, silently, from one generation to the next.
Outside, the sky glows gold. The crowd has scattered, but Solomon and Tyron linger near the steps. "Why didn't you say anything, Dad?" Tyron asks, his voice still full of adrenaline and disbelief. Solomon looks at him for a long moment before answering. "Because real power doesn't need an audience," he says, "and some battles aren't worth winning if you have to lose your peace to fight them." The boy nods slowly, understanding more than words could explain. Behind them, the 6 men stand at a distance, sharing a silent nod before disappearing into the crowd. The story ends the way it began, with silence, but this time, it's a different kind. The kind that speaks of dignity, loyalty, and a strength the world too often overlooks. And as they walk away, you realize this wasn't a story about confrontation. It was a story about what happens when respect remembers where it came from.